So now that we've acknowledged how difficult it is to run a scenario, I think it's reasonable to talk about the next step, which is when we close the scenario, how we discuss it with the learners. Previously, I think this was a bit easier. We used to just stop the scenario and then give a commentary, perhaps with the involvement of the other learners, of what things went well and what things could be done differently. Now that we have more time allocated for each scenario, we really want to have a more interactive learning conversation. So there's opportunity to say, I saw this, and tell me what you were thinking at the time. Tell me about how that helped you or didn't help you make the decisions that you made, and to really dig deep, if you like, and look at the thought processes behind the learning and the practice that's been achieved and demonstrated. And this is also useful for the other candidates to be able to reflect on how this individual solved the problem and what clues they amassed. And sometimes skilled candidates will, of course, just rely on pattern recognition without even thinking about it consciously, but keeping in mind that everyone is at a different level of learning, you really need to break it down. So this learning conversation, by digging deep, actually tries to deconstruct it and allow the learner to express what they did. It's much more than the commentary that we used to previously provide, which was just more of a summation at the end. The challenge, though, is then, as an instructor, is that you have to be hyper vigilant to be able to pick up on all of the actions and store it away in some way, and responses, so that you can feel like you have not judged the person harshly, and that you're actually trying to just remember faithfully what they have done. And that's difficult because we've explained how difficult it is to run a scenario. Now you have to do almost, quite apart from the dialogue that you're using, you almost need to have like a video-like memory of remembering the sequence of events to be able to effectively debrief with them. And that's why it's so difficult to maintain the momentum throughout the scenario and have enough fuel in the tank to be able to come in with a really thorough and accurate debrief at the end. The other challenge that I've found is that, again, using the language, we talked about the first person, second person, third person, I have found it challenging to rethink how, from previously giving a commentary as an authoritative person, now to ask open-ended questions about what the candidate felt, thought, and did. And it's almost like, I find, the way we analyze how our feelings affect our attitudes and behavior, but as applied to scenario-based teaching.
Ooh.
So that's basically all of what I want to say. But see how it all just flows on,
Yeah,
Chris?
I love it.
So then the challenge is how I can break it up into 3 short videos that I can email everyone, including Jane. Well, firstly, Jane,
Nice.
to say, Jane, this is what I was thinking, as a way of booting the learning conversation, just as applied to scenarios. And then we can talk about workshops and skill stations at another level, because they almost need a different frame shift. But I think scenarios are the more challenging thing to run, partly because you're often doing it by yourself.